tremendous difference that'll in the 5th district, and I assume the same in some of these other races. It's time to compete. We ceded this territory too long, and I think things are changing. And as pointed out again, Donald Trump changed the dynamics of politics in 2016, and I think that we're all products of that, aficionados of that, and people that want to do what we can to get in and help.
All right. So my next question is, what are three major issues you would like to see, or pieces of legislation, I guess, you would like to see get passed, and if you are elected? And Mr. Kelly, we'll start with you.
You know, I was going to listen to some of this. Once you get into elected office, you're getting involved in politics, you find out that politics is often more of a game of defense than offense. And it's about stopping bad things from happening. We have tons of laws out there. We don't need more. We just need to make things better of what we've got. Enforce the things that you've got on the books already, improve the things that you do. I think our spending has gotten totally out of control. The only thing bipartisan anymore is Washington is spending money. Both parties seem to have a great love of spending money. That's the only thing they seem to agree on. This package, this whole another $1 trillion or whatever that they're talking about spending cannot be done. It should be stopped. So thankfully, if you're, the Dems want $3 trillion and Republicans want $1 trillion, hopefully nothing gets done, because we've already put, $3 to $6 trillion out there, depending on how you look at it, and we can't afford to do this anymore. So I think we got to get the budget under control. Once again, I think we have to push back all this socialist stuff that's going, and right the ship of America. And I think that what Donald Trump was trying to do, he had an economy that was on fire. This isn't rocket science. Look back 4 years ago at what we had. All it is less regulation and being business friendly. All of a sudden, things can happen. Low taxes, those are kinds of things. So I would be about securing those kinds of things going ahead.
It's what he said. No, I mean, it's so much of what we're all talking about is the exact same thing. And I think the American public has finally realized that, you know what, we can't just sit home and wait for somebody else to do something. That's why I think we're all getting involved, because it's not happening. So, when I started out, it was Second Amendment, secure the border, and those things are still real important, but my God, what's happening right now with the craziness of out in Portland and Seattle, and that we just need to get a handle on stuff like that. I just think that we need to get back into Washington and like Tim said, right the ship, because we're off course. We are way off course. And if if the red team doesn't sweep everything, we're in for a world of hurt. We're in for probably something that we will never be able to win back, because once the Democrats get a hold of it, of this government, I don't think we'll ever be able to win it back.
Mr. Langworthy?
I agree with these two gentlemen. We definitely need to squash this communist insurrection, and we need to squash it with like a bug, like a cancer that it is. But there are 3 bills that I would like to introduce. First, I'd like to introduce pro-Second Amendment legislation, which, in the bill I would like to introduce, would repeal the Brady Bill, the NFA, the '68 Gun Control Act, and it would also institute a nationwide constitutional carry bill across the United States that supersedes all state laws, and that you can carry anywhere in the United States without having to worry about going over state lines. Secondly, I would like to audit and abolish the Federal Reserve. That's pretty self-explanatory. And third, I want to grant personhood to children in the womb, therefore making abortion murder. Those are 3 bills that are very near and dear to my heart, and very near and dear to the hearts of the constituents of the 9th District. And they're also bills that are good for the entire country as well. So that's three of my most important bills. I also want to repeal a ton of nonsensical legislation, but those are my 3.
All right. Gabby?
I intend to focus on local issues. I'm running to represent the constituents of the 9th District, and I intend to present and pass stuff that would benefit and help their lives. So the first thing that I'm gonna wanna do, and some of it by default are national issues. Number one, I think that the United States need to become China independent. If we bring back manufacturing from China, a natural place for it to fall is in Oakland and Macomb County, along with a lot of other areas. There are a lot of factories that are still standing empty from when they left. There's a lot of space, there's a lot of workforce, there's a lot of talent in these areas. So creating high quality, good paying jobs right here in the 9th District is going to benefit the constituents directly. And when they raise their kids and when they're growing up, they don't have to go to other states to find opportunities, they can find it right here. So that's one thing that I'd like to advocate for. The other thing that I'm gonna advocate for is the local, when I say local, I mean it's in the 9th District, the aerospace and defense industry. The current congressman has been voting against aerospace and defense bills. There is lots of jobs right here in the aerospace and defense industry and other industries that are attached to it. What's coming down the pipeline with that between the new Space Force, Michigan is in contention to have a launch pad and a command center. Plus, there's also a private industry side to that, where they're talking about launching a lot of satellites into space. That industry, private market demand is growing. Michigan is properly positioned for that because that we're above the 45th on the globe layout. So we're excellent. There's vertical launches, there's horizontal launches, but they are in contention for that. These are things that would change Michigan for the good, the economy forever. You know, we're all known for auto industry, and that's it. The auto industry isn't entirely specifically just here for Detroit and Michigan anymore. It's gone everywhere. So we need to bring that to here and to grow the local economy. And that is something that I intend to, I think it's achievable, and I've set for myself achievable goals that will benefit the people of the 9th District.
Mr. Dutenhofer?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we'd all like to advocate for, and we all have our special pet projects, but when you're running to represent on average about 700,000 people in Congress, and it's about them, it's not about us. So I conducted a couple of polls, one in January and one a couple of weeks ago. In both times, healthcare, education, and jobs came in the top 3 for the people in the 13th Congressional District. If that's what they care about, then I have to fight for the things that they care about. So with healthcare, with respect to that, I think that obviously government's involvement has made it pretty cumbersome upon people. And I'd like to open up the markets in terms of buying health coverage, open up the state lines, allow competition. I think, you know, there's a lot that we can do that way, get government out of the way. With healthcare, I think we could focus on something that's being utilized in pockets around the world, and a few areas in our country, which is more of a collaborative, more of a result-based system, rather than this endless enrollment and testing and nobody sharing information. And so, you know, and there's more to that. You can go on my website, I won't get into too much detail, but these aren't my ideas, these are just ideas that I'm looking at that are being implemented in pockets, and they seem to be serving the people. So education, I definitely think, especially in the inner cities, we've got to do better with, I think, just the basics, but of course financial literacy, financial planning. You know, there's so many folks that are left out in the cold that way when it comes to just the simple stuff that we take for granted here. So, and then with jobs, that's another thing that's an organic phenomenon here in the grassroots, here at the you know, the private sector, and we just get government out of the way, you know, and the bureaucratic red tape, allow businesses to perform organically based on need, based on what people want, not what government tells them that they should have. So that's what I'd like to do.
All right, so my next question is, you probably all know this, these are all going to be uphill battles. They are all very deep blue districts that have been in the hands of the left for many, many years. So what skills or traits do you guys believe you have that will actually bring you over the finish line and unseat these Democrats? And Mr. Dutenhofer will begin with you.
I think my ability to engage and to certainly go into demographics that Republicans have traditionally just not, for whatever reason. You know, Wayne County's been kind of the political doormat for too many decades. I mean, we had 55 years of John Conyers and now 2 years of Rashida Tlaib. And I know that folks in the city of Detroit, in some of the poor communities, River Rouge, Inkster, Ecorse come to mind, Romulus, I know these folks believe in many of the things we believe in. They're family-based, they want good things for their children. It comes down to a level of trust. And they're predominantly blue-collar workers, and they've just been spoon-fed for many years that Republicans are for the rich and not for you. And it's been taught to them and bred into them. And I think if we can just go there, I can go there and listen, something politicians rarely do, but listen and offer up an honest answer. I might not have the answers for everything, but at least I can offer up some ideas, some possibilities. And then just the idea that I'm here for you, to represent you. Might not always get it right, but I'm here to represent you, and not a party, not a faction. So, and I think just reaching out and doing those things, I think will go a long way, and it already has, because I've already been doing it as chair of the district. I've already been going into the black churches. I've already been going into the schools. I've already been, talking to the activists, working with the activists sometimes on issues. So, so I just want to continue that.
Bobby?
So there's no question that to be victorious in the general election, we're gonna have to convert and earn the independent vote and the moderate Democrat vote. Roughly 70,000 votes is the margin. If we get them all by turning them, then we're looking at turning 35,000 votes. But if we're looking at getting the new vote out, then we're gonna need more than that. I intend to earn the vote of the independents and the vote of the moderate Democrats, along with earning the votes of the Republican vote in the district by advocating for local issues. Advocating local issues, I already mentioned the economy and supporting the local economy and small business. I have a plan for education. Local education, we need to focus on job retraining programs. We need to focus on returning citizens program for people who have served their time in prison, now they're coming back, be able to integrate them in so they could integrate back into society. Transitioning veterans, when people get out of the military and they're going into society. If you have served for a long time in the military and you were high ranking, a lot of times that's a much tougher transition for you. You're walking around the base and everyone's saluting you, and then you go into society and you have to sometimes start out as a busboy. So these types of things we need to advocate and talk about, and people in the 9th district have that. The other thing that's a local issue that I intend to push and advocate for, aside from jobs and education, is the healthcare issue. The healthcare issue is a big one. The government should get out of it. We need to open the markets, and we need to encourage the competition. There are two fields within the healthcare industry that are not governed by insurance, and they got better and cheaper over the past 10 years. And that's LASIK eye surgery and cosmetic surgery for, plastic surgery for cosmetic reasons. And both of those got cheaper and much better because it's not regulated by the insurance companies, and it's not regulated by the government as much. And we need to take the entire healthcare system and use that model.
Mr. Langworthy?
Well, growing up and currently living in the 9th district, I can tell you this: the people are sick and tired of the Levin family and the Levin dynasty. They are just, even some of the Democrats that are left, because quite a few people have left the Democrat Party in that area. It's mainly independent, especially in Macomb County. It's mostly an independent district that tends to vote right. But most people in our district are sick and tired of both parties, and for very good reasons. And getting back to protecting people's constitutional rights and standing up for the people and trying to make their lives better and fighting the corruption. The corruption is so ingrained in our society, and that's what, the corruption is what causes the boot on people's throats. When you have people in positions of power that just continuously throw the people to the wayside and continuously throw them to the wayside and never put their needs first, that is exactly how we get to where we are today. And I can tell you this much: the people of the 9th district, they're the people that are struggling paycheck to paycheck. They are the victims of hardcore corruption that has plagued our society for many years. So,
just a moment.
Getting back to the ideas of the Constitution, and then pushing forth proper laws that'll that'll help with Medicare and Medicaid, not Medicaid, I apologize, healthcare. You know, we need to have a healthcare system that's based upon, free market. You know, let's get rid of some of the regulations so we can create more healthcare insurance companies. You know, make a startup insurance companies, that'll drive prices down, that'll raise competition. Healthcare definitely is a big issue, just like these two gentlemen said. And, we need to make it more affordable. And we also need to have like a, like, not necessarily a one-size-fits-all plan, but why does a 25-year-old male need to have, urologist coverage? You know, why not take that off the coverage? That'll help reduce premiums, things like that. Create competition, individually tailored plans for people.
So, a lot of us have touched on the fact that there's a lot of blue-collar people in our districts, and we tend to be coming from a blue-collar industry. That ability, I was a district sales manager, and you have to have the ability to go into a white tablecloth restaurant and speak that language, and then you need to go into Gabi's shop and be able to speak that language. If you can't speak to both sides of that, of your constituents, you're gonna lose out on the entire district. The blue collar people, I look at them, I said, listen, man, I'm just a contractor. I'm you, is what I've told so many people. I'm you. And so you and I see the exact same thing. So when we look at something and go, that's not right, I'm you. So you are going to Washington with me. I see something and I say, that's not right. And that's one of the things that has been so easy talking to people out there right now. Do the right thing and get the job done. Everybody sits back and says, wow, that's just not right. And again, we, the blue collar people or the constituents, can see that. And the people in Washington, D.C. have somehow lost their way. And it's unfortunate. But my ability to speak to the people is a very powerful thing. In fact, during getting our signatures, they said, who are you running against? I said, Brenda Lawrence. They go, oh yeah, I'll sign that. And one person said, you know, Brenda was a city mayor. I said, well, I've been a city of Southfield resident my whole life. They said, well, since city of Southfield has a city manager, that was just a figurehead position. So they said, Brenda Lawrence, when she was the mayor, she was the only one that could cut the ribbon but could never cut a deal. She's just coasted an awful long time. It's definitely time to get her out. One more thing is, when I'm handing out my signs, I've got a lot, it's a very Democrat district. People on the Democrat ticket say, you know what, I want one of your signs, but I want it to say Democrats for Vance. There's a strong group of Democrats and like Gabi said, independents out there that are looking for something different, because the left is so far left, it scares a lot of the people out in the district right now. That's another reason why I'm in.
Mr. Cal?
Again, you kind of echo some of this, the opportunity of looking for something different, presenting an alternative that otherwise hasn't been there before. I mentioned that we've had in the 5th District decades of names on a ballot, but that was it. They never campaigned, they never did anything to drive up their name ID. There's a lot of this, you know, prior to social media, but still just never did anything. I'm actively out there doing doors and putting up signs and doing the things that people see as a normal, you know, as a campaign, as an active campaign, clearly desires of trying to attain the job. And again, offering an alternative to what they've seen for the last several years. And it doesn't have to be so much as what's my platform, it's the opposite of his. You know, I mean, you can guarantee it, whatever he's for, I'm gonna be the opposite of that. It's that simple. It really is.
It's true.
So really, you're just trying to put up a bona fide alternative for the people to make hopefully an informed choice.
So my next question is, who would you do to expand pro-life policy? That is an issue for a lot of people. That is all that matters to them. I'm actually one of those people. If you are not pro-life, I'm not voting for you. So what would you do to expand pro-life policy in the United States if you were elected?
If I'm first on this, I would go with Charles Langworthy. I think making personhood, I think, is an extremely important bill to do. I think that would clearly render Roe v. Wade moot. by doing that, and I think you would have, maybe we need one more Supreme Court justice to validate that, given the history of Chief Justice Roberts. But nonetheless, I think that would probably be the primacy of a law to you know, to solidify that the pro-life philosophy.
You know, I think there's my proof I'm pro-life right there. Once you have kids, you can't, I mean, the raising a child is just, it's pretty damn cool. And anybody that thinks ending a life they're missing out. The opportunities to camping or fishing trips or trying to convey your knowledge to the next generation, wiping out that generation is, you're seriously missing out on an opportunity that will physically change your life. Being a parent has been the best thing. I'm sure all of us are thinking the same thing. It's been the best thing of my life, and I couldn't think of anything else. So we really need to concentrate on what you said, because we're losing kids. Look at the African American community. That's what they're doing. They're killing their entire race by letting this happen to them. We need to step up, and we need to definitely be a pro-life advocate.
Mr. Langworthy?
Abortion is about as evil as you can get. I don't think that there's I don't really think there's a more evil act on this planet than you could do than to take an innocent child's life before it even has a chance to exist in this world. I mean, it's sick, it's demented, it's disgusting. And like I said before, granting personhood to children in the womb. I know that these women say my body, my choice, but that's another human being's body inside of you. What gives you the right to choose for that body? Absolutely not. Personhood to children in the womb making abortion murder, and any doctors being caught, they need to have the book thrown at them. We could work out, the type of punishment that those doctors get for performing illegal abortions. We can work that out in Congress after we draft the law, but there needs to be serious penalties for them as well.
Robin?
So, the good Lord has blessed me with 6 children, 2 of them with severe special needs, and I have 3 grandchildren. And I'm grateful for every one of them, and it's a blessing, and I realize that, and I'm grateful for their life every single day. But I'd also like to point out the reality that even if somehow hypothetically all 5 of us got elected to Congress, let's work out the technicalities later,
Okay.
working out the hypothetical. We'll never have the opportunity on the Congress floor to vote on such a bill. It's there as much as we all want it. And
I may disagree. I don't mean to interject. There's enough people running on the Republican side this year that might actually happen. So just wanted to let you know.
Great. I'd like to point out where we actually are with our government. In February 25th of this year, on the Senate floor, which we control the Senate, they put forth a bill. It was called the Born Alive Survivor Act. Born Alive Survivor Act, which is a short bill. It is simple and not complicated. It didn't have a lot of other stuff in it. And it simply said, if a baby survives abortion and it's out of the womb and it's born alive, you must provide medical care to that baby as you would any other baby. Because currently, somehow, it's not federally illegal to not provide medical care to a baby that was just born. And it was a simple short bill, the Born Alive Abortion Survival Act. February 25th of this year, Republican Senate did not pass. It did not pass. 44 Democrats voted against it. Now, we could sit around here and talk about, does conception start at birth, at conception? Does life start at conception? When does life actually start? That's all lovely conversation, and we all are on the same page on that. But realistically, we can't even get a bill to protect a baby that is born alive and is out of the womb. And that should be terrifying to all of us. And we need to get that part under control, because that while abortion, as much as we don't like it and we're against it, and it's currently legal and we'd all like to change it, the standard used to be safe, legal, and rare. And currently, It's up to birth, it's while you're in labor, and we can't even pass protection for babies that are already born. And that's something that should be terrifying to all of us.
Mr. Newton,
I've learned over time that politics is not about doing the better good of your fellow man. Politics is, at its core, the adjudication of power. And those who have it will wield it. And those who get elected because the electorate is motivated to elect them. And I think that where we're at right now is we have to know that with this issue, as any other issue, the people have to be motivated to want it. And the people we have to change that mindset within the people, and putting a value on life that is higher than anything else that we're putting a value on in terms of legislative policy or what have you. But it's not just about the child in the womb. It's also the child after they're born. It's also in life all over the world as we're bombing other nations, okay? I always found it very interesting that people are so strong about pro-life issues, but they think nothing to go overseas and kill babies in another country. And I'm sorry to say, but some people have that attitude. So we have to change the mindset about life. And when that hunger for that policy change is there, then they elect the people that represent them, and that majority that you talked about to be able to get these things done will happen. But that comes from changing that mindset, and that's just gonna be more dialogue, more conversation, ending the stigma and the shame of having children out of wedlock, younger children that get pregnant by mistake. They're ashamed to go back to their family, so they take the abortion as the easy way out. We've got to open up that communication with family again and take that shame out of the equation. So I think those elements have to be there to really make the change you guys want to see, and I want to see.
all right. So, my next question, which is another very important issue to just Republicans generally, is what would you do to expand the Second Amendment? Mr. Newton, how would you do this one?
I didn't know what you had to do to expand it. I thought shall not be infringed was pretty damn clear to me. So I think it's just a matter of it's there. It's just a matter of getting back to it. And that's why I really cringe when I hear things like that and the spending, and I hear the suggestion of let's open up our Constitution, because we need more laws. I think somebody mentioned we don't need more laws. It's bizarre to me. Why don't we just enforce the laws that we have on the books already and just recognize that the law of the land is the Constitution, right? And just get back to that and read it once in a while. Stop consulting with attorneys. Stop, trying to shirk your way out of some of this stuff. And, states' rights, I know that's there too, but it's like in the Constitution, in the Second Amendment, it's like we have these 18 enumerated privileges that we granted the federal government, right? And certainly the ability to defend our lives and our family and our property is one of them any way we wish. That's why Michigan Campaign for Liberty at one time, we did a fundraiser and we said, highest bidder, we're gonna auction off a flamethrower. Because you can, and the point was just to illustrate that, it's none of the government's business what you have in your house. So I don't think we need more laws. We just have to enforce the law of the land and just keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid.
Copy?
So I agree with the dude over here that the Second Amendment, there's no law that we could pass today that will strengthen the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, along with all other amendments, stand on their own and they're powerful. The Second Amendment does not grant us the right to bear arms. The Second Amendment restricts the government from taking away our right to keep and bear arms. I do agree that not every person should be able to own a gun. There's mental illness, there's violent criminals, there is an element of society that either by their situation or their behavior, by hurting others, they shouldn't have easily access to guns. And that's been addressed with laws on the book, as we said. So many of the restrictions that they're proposing today, the red flag laws, I'm adamantly against all of them because you're gonna wind up in a situation where legally regular citizens are gonna lose their right to keep and bear arms, and we can't have that. I wouldn't stand for that at all. you restrict me from buying a gun, you're not stopping any murders anywhere, because I wouldn't have done it. What you are preventing is for me to have the ability to defend myself and my family and my home and my property. So, I know that in 2018, the president signed into law the Fix NICS Act, because that the reporting system, many states didn't have to report criminals. The military wasn't reporting people who were discharged with criminal offenses and violent tendencies. The Fix NICS Act is supposed to fix that. I would like to wait and see how it works, and then see what we can scale back and what needs to stay in place.
Oh, well, shall not be infringed truly means shall not be infringed. Repealing the NFA, the 1968 Gun Control Act, the Brady Bill, all of them need to go, and they need to go immediately. Those are infringements upon the Second Amendment. Also, there needs to be federal lawsuits against all states that have anti-Second Amendment legislation. The 10th Amendment does not allow states to violate any of the other amendments. Underneath the 10th Amendment, it says these powers delegated by the Constitution, or the powers not delegated by the Constitution, are reserved for the states and the states alone, and to the people. Well, the Second Amendment is already delegated to the people. Therefore, no state law can supersede the Second Amendment. And any state that has any laws against the Second Amendment, there needs to be a federal lawsuit till they change their books. We, the people, have the right to bear arms, to protect our families, and to protect our nation from outside invasion and from tyrannical government. And shall not be infringed absolutely means shall not be infringed.
Mr. Patrick?
Like I said when I started off, Second Amendment was one that I was always passionate about, and just like everybody else has said, and Dave and Tim here, more laws, I think, get in the way of the current laws that we have. But with what Gabi said too,